Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new edition of our Open Innovation Thursdays. My name is Marisol Menendez. I'm CEO and founder of Vilacatu, a company dedicated to work in open innovation and ecosystem orchestration, and the ecosystem week, which is a network and ecosystem of leaders looking to transform leadership. And this is why it's such a joy for me every week to have a conversation with each of the authors of the Oxford Handbook of Open Innovation, published in February 2024, edited by Henry Chesbrough, Joel West, Pim van Haverbeke, and Agnieszka Radziwiłł. But it includes 57 chapters, and we are reviewing every week each of the chapters of the book. This is a joy for me. I feel very fortunate to spend these 15 minutes talking about open innovation. And of course, it's a privilege for me to welcome today my dear friend Ernesto Ciorra. Ernesto, how are you today? Welcome.
I'm very well, and thanks, Marisol, for hosting me for this speech.
Thank you, Ernesto. We always like getting to connect the human side of each of the authors. Where are you connecting from today?
I'm connecting from Roma, the capital of Italy.
This is marvelous. Part of the adventure here is that we are connecting with people all around the world, and I always feel such a joy about this idea of connecting all around the world. Ernesto, I always like to ask first about personal background and ask each of our guests to introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
I'm 54 years old, graduated in business administration. I founded my first company when I was 19 years old at the university. It was a magazine involving other students to write and publish magazines aimed at joking university professors at that time. And we founded the first community of young people becoming editors and also writers of a magazine in Italy. And after I founded a consulting company focused only on innovation, having been inspired by the book of Henry Chesbrough, it happened in 2003 when he published his first book, Open Innovation, and I wanted to found a company focused only on supporting companies on open innovation. And also I founded a fashion company aimed at depicting dreams of women on a t-shirt with big paints. We were using young painters to depict women's dreams. The name of the company was Stolen Dreams. After I joined Enel as Chief Innovability Officer, Innovation and Sustainability, I left on 2023, and now I'm a university professor, lecturer in several universities around the world, and also I am a senior advisor and board member of a fund aimed at investing in the energy and digital transition of their capital.
Wow, this is amazing. And it's a very good picture about your career and how it's connected and intertwined with open innovation. And so this is very exciting because we've met in some places before in our professional careers. With this innovability area, I was working as well in open innovation, and we've been sharing part of this professional story. You wrote in the book chapter number 49 called Innovability for a Better World, and a new one, no, in parentheses. And this book, this chapter 49, as I was saying, is part of the section Open Innovation in Practice. So this is the practitioners section, and it's very, very interesting. But how come this chapter came to be in the book?
It came to be because I was at that time head of innovation and sustainability at Enel, and we had a dream to define the future distribution network for the moon base and also the future power plant to provide energy to the future moon base. But we understood immediately that we hadn't enough knowledge and competence and that we needed strong partners. So we identified Thales Alenia Space, an Italian and French company that had the right knowledge and talent. So this chapter discusses about the collaboration that we implemented between Enel and Thales Alenia Space, merging respective competencies on power generation and production with deep knowledge of Thales Alenia Space, of space infrastructures, to resolve the particular challenges posed by the environmental conditions of lunar power plant systems. You can imagine that on the moon, you can have plus 150 degrees during the day and minus 150 degrees. Also, you have radiations that you have not on the Earth, micrometeoroids, lunar dust, and many other problems that you can't face on the Earth. But we were using the moon like car industry uses Formula One and Formula E. Because if you are able to test your knowledge on extreme conditions, very challenging conditions, you can study and find new technologies and discover innovations. That is to say, application of those technologies that can be used in your current business. This was the approach, and we were very happy to have found such a great partner, Thales Alenia Space.
This is amazing. And so you're telling this story about collaboration, also, I think, with some other people from the team, because you co-wrote this with Emanuele Polimanti and Andrea Canino, no?
Yeah, because Emanuele Polimanti was my personal assistant, and he was having a wide perspective on what we were doing on open innovation. Andrea Canino was the project manager of the lunar mission, and we had to connect people experts in generation of energy, people experts of distribution of energy and transmission, and we wanted to create a group of people in love with this idea of producing and distributing energy on the moon. We needed also experts of storage, because this plant and this system should be reliable, resilient, and also we needed much storage technologies and also control systems, experts on digital technologies able to plan and adapt what we were doing and adapt the technologies to the challenges that the environmental situation of the moon could propose. And so it was a nice way also to aggregate different people from different business lines with different technologies with a dream scope.
Wow, and this is incredible. And so I think you have lots of learnings in terms of the technology and the energy distribution, as you were saying. And I think like we can talk about the deep engineering technology and whatever learnings, but also about the dynamics of open innovation. What are your takeouts from this chapter?
First of all, we found concrete technologies to be used to guarantee resiliency, safety, and flexibility to our plants and to our networks on the Earth. Because if you are able to find solutions that could be usefully exploited on the moon, you can adapt them and you can reduce the cost and adopt them on the Earth. So first of all, we have got concrete technologies. Secondly, checking the resiliency at all possible extreme environmental conditions and variability of the lunar condition, the moon conditions, helped us on going beyond our mental framework or what are the limits, because we are used to Earth limits, but if you think beyond your current limits, you can even find new areas of exploration, new areas of potential application of technologies. I give you an example. We don't need wireless charging of electric cars here. But on the moon, it's normal that you will have to use wireless charging for the rover, for the moon rover. But those technologies could be used also in the middle of the desert of Atacama, where there is nobody and you have to recharge your rover to clean the photovoltaic panels. So we hadn't thought about how to recharge rovers that clean photovoltaic panels in the desert of Atacama with wireless technology before that project. But thanks to this project, we have been forced to think about how to recharge with a wireless solution. And we found a startup from Australia that enabled us to make this come true also on the Earth. So, and moreover, we forced our people and Thales people to be more humble, more open to listen to the other ones, to share challenges. Companies don't want usually to share challenges because they appear like weakness. But if you are open, if you are humble, if you admit that the best ones don't work for your company, as Harry Chesbrough usually says, you can open your heart before then your mind and admit that there are a lot of challenges that can be solved by other managers, other experts of other industries, and working together. You could also identify new challenges and you can also find concrete solutions that can help your everyday business. So having a concrete approach on open innovation. And I think we signed an agreement in 2019, a 3 years agreement with just this dream, and we won three tenders issued by the European Space Agency and the Italian Space Agency, backed by the NASA. And in 2019, no one could think at Enel that they could win a tender issued by NASA or backed by NASA or issued by European or Italian Space Agency. But we did, because 1 + 1 makes 10, not two, not three, but working together with those people. But the cultural changes was mandatory, was needed.
Of course.
Opening your heart, your brain, admitting that you need someone else support.
I think this definition of 1 + 1 creates more than two, no? Is the basic definition of ecosystem and the dynamics that we are implementing in real life about open innovation, which is creating knowledge flows across organizational boundaries. This cultural change that is in the base that you were talking about is very counterintuitive in today's world, no? How to move this from a weakness to a strength. But also part of the open innovation definition is the value capture that we do, because this is not just because we are good and everything, but because this is real business that will help to grow, no? And so I wanted to ask you before we approach to the end of this, but more in your personal open innovation experience in all these years, how do we integrate this culture? How do we connect with this value capturing idea? And also this mindset about open doesn't mean free, open doesn't mean open to everyone, no? So that we can, as businesses and organizations, be smart in this way of opening to others and flowing with the knowledge. So how do you live it? And if you have any advice, takeouts to share.
I think that with engineers, the best you can do is to define a good Gantt to kill the activities, but also to redefine them in the future, but having a good plan of what you are going to do, defining key metrics, KPIs, having a straight governance. Because people think that innovation is chaos, is creativity. Creativity is part of innovation. It's always mandatory. But I wrote a formula with my friend Ivan Ortensi many years ago. Innovation is the result of creativity per execution per appeal. So you need to invent something new, to execute it very well, but you need to find someone that appreciates. You are going to create value for these people. So how to combine those three aspects? You needed a strong governance involving people from different business lines of Enel, involving people from different business lines of Thales, Alenia Space, involving external people, startups. Is should not be a chaos activity. It should be structured activity, having formal plans, having KPIs, having continuous meetings to share problems and also to find creative solutions to solve the challenges, to solve the problems, and to change, even to change the plan. I think that plans are important to be killed, are not important because you have to respect the plans, but because you can be free to kill the plans, but having them in your mind. And besides, um, this activity, I think that we had a common dream. The common dream was to identify technologies and solutions that could have, on a side, a concrete impact on our everyday business, and on the other side, a concrete impact on the future of the human mankind. Because if you are not pushed by an internal sense of purpose every day, you can't solve the challenges that innovation every day puts in front of you. And I would like to mention a music from Frank Sinatra, no? Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Probably people had in their minds this kind of song because they wanted to fly to the moon and they wanted to help the other ones to fly to the moon.
This is marvelous and inspiring, very practical, but at the same time, it dreams forward. And I think this is what we love. And I think that this is what makes us, as we say here, like stars from dust from the same stars. No, we are building what I like to say this human infrastructure that allows for this knowledge flow across many different layers of organizational boundaries. And I really, really think that this is what helps us to build new stuff, new value, new go beyond the borders in this complex and uncertain world full of opportunities if we know how to navigate it. Ernesto, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you today. We have so many things to learn, all the experience. I advise everyone, of course, to read the chapter and to look into the many different materials that Ernesto has across the web. One final thought or takeaway you want to share with the audience? Remember that we have people from academia and practitioners.
I could end with just a quote: "Dream big, act small." It's a quote that I've invented now. There isn't a quote that you can find probably on the web. Dream big, because if you don't dream enough big, you will never get something. You never obtain something important. But you need to act small. That is to say that you need to act on details, being curious, being obsessed by details, having a concrete approach on achieving concrete figures. I usually say that engineers don't trust you, they trust figures. And if you want to be loved by the engineers, many of them are CEOs, you need to achieve concrete figures, targets, objectives.
Thank you very much, Ernesto. It was a pleasure discussing open innovation.
Thanks.
And I hope to see you again. I hope to see you in our Spanish chapter in 20 weeks or whenever we have the chapter. And we will keep bumping into each other in the open innovation world.
Thanks, Marisol, for this invitation. You are a real expert of innovation, not just open innovation. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you very much.